Just trying to set everything up, and then I'm gonna go live on. Maybe not. There we go, and trying to go live on TikTok as well at the same time. So let's put the chat up so I can see it. Okay, so this live is going to be about elevating ourselves and raising our vibration so that we can be our best selves. And it's about how to shift our identities so that we can become the best version of ourselves. So I'm going to open my little notes tab. Let's see if it will. Switch, and then I don't know if I can put myself into the little corner. Like that. Here we go. Hello, Dr. Harmony. How are you? How are you guys? Okay, there we go. So we are going to cover how to raise our vibration and the difference between the new age version of raising our vibration and the occult version of raising our vibration. And we're also gonna look at self-concept. So hey, TikTok over there as well. If you're on TikTok, you can see the full version on my YouTube. It is linked in my channel where I've got the slideshow where you can follow along with all of the bullet points and stuff like that. But I'll try my best to switch between both of you guys. I'm glad you're doing good, Dr. Harmony, and I hope you enjoy the live. Okay, so, all right, slide number 2. So what does high vibrational actually mean? So if any of you want to put in the comments what you define as being high vibrational. Sorry if it's lagging over there on TikTok. Go over to my YouTube and you'll get a much better connection, hopefully. Thank you for all of the likes and the support over on TikTok. I really appreciate it as well. So, to me, raising our vibration is all to do with our emotions. So I remember when I was at the beginning of my spiritual journey, and one of the first books I read was a famous book. A lot of you might know it. It's called Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins. And he is a psychiatrist and a spiritual person who uncovered the science behind our emotions, and he unlocked the science behind things like manifestation and stuff like that. And he scientifically proved that everything is powered by our emotions. But one of the things that I didn't learn from his book and that I didn't work out until later on is that what we consider low vibrational emotions are just as important and just as necessary as high vibrational emotions. So yeah, being full of love, exactly. That's what high vibrational means to me as well. So if you've read any of his books, he sort of implies that the lower, you can't see my mouse, but the lower vibrations close to the bottom of the scale are bad and they need to be ignored and they need to be overcome, and that all we need to focus on is being high vibrational. And that is a very new age way of looking at raising your vibration and stepping into our best selves. But as I went deeper into this knowledge and I looked up the occult, and occult is basically just a word that means hidden, uh, the ancient knowledge, what I learned is that the low vibrational emotions are just as important as the high vibrational emotions, and we need to uh, sort of understand all of them and accept all of our emotions so that we can become a spiritual master and really enjoy ourselves when we are in a high vibrational state. Okay, so our emotions, as many of you know, are very directly affected by other people. So, what I wanted to share with you is sort of some ideas of what we need to look for in terms of people or in terms of situations as well. So, it could be a job or something like that, and what we need to avoid. So, sorry, someone says, correct me if I'm wrong, that is very romanticizing people who are spiritual. Don't really, we don't really need that. We need clear explanations of things. What do you mean? What do you need a clearer explanation of? Sorry if I'm rushing anything or if I'm not explaining things properly. I'm still getting used to life and all of that stuff. So I do notice that I rush through things. So if you need me to slow down or go over anything, let me know. So what the things that we need to avoid when we are trying to raise our vibration is spiritual bypassing. The spiritual bypassing is basically avoiding the lower vibrational emotions. So emotions such as shame, guilt, fear sometimes, and especially desire are there to teach us, and they are you know, if we can understand those emotions, we can use them to our benefit. Oh, so someone said over on YouTube, when people say all you need to do is raise our vibration, we should be asking how instead of just telling them what it is. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And that's what I found in this book as well. So this book does a really good job of explaining what emotions are, but it doesn't teach us how to overcome them. And that's what I'm going to try to get into in this live. So if we're in a low vibrational state and we're experiencing shame, for example, so no one likes to feel shame, no one likes to be ashamed. It's damaging to our ego. It's not very nice. We all know that. But to reframe that, we need to almost embrace shame. And if if we've been through something, if we've been through a hard time and we let it defeat us, that's when shame becomes a really negative thing. Okay, but if we go through a hard time and we learn from our shame, we don't make the same mistakes over and over again, then it becomes, we take the power out of it, and then it becomes something that, not something that we're ashamed of. It's something that we've learned from and something that we can overcome. So I support you and what you're doing, even if it's still able to overcome. Some of us are teachers and some of us are still learning. Yeah, exactly. I'm still learning along the way. I'm not a massive YouTuber. I'm not a massive TikTok person. I'm, a very small creator still. So these things just, take practice, and hopefully, if I keep on saying the same message over and over again, hopefully you can read it and my message can become clearer over time if it isn't already clear now. Okay. So, can you talk about how to be unfazed by taking action? Yeah, definitely. So, these lower vibrational emotions like fear, shame, guilt, um, and so on can sort of lock us in to following the status quo and not taking action on what we want to do, and not going after who we want to be. And the way to overcome that is to, in the book, he talks about letting go. So it's a hard concept to explain, but it's basically just doing things, but don't have a certain outcome in mind. So if you want to, start a business, don't start the business because you want to make X amount of money, or whatever it may be. You have to start the business because your desire is to help people. So it's it to be unfazed about taking action. You have to have a cause in mind that is greater than just making money, or being popular, or the superficial things in life. So you have to have sort of a bigger end goal, so that when you take action, you're not attached to a certain outcome. Okay, because especially in this reality, we have to keep on being consistent. Things don't just manifest instantly, and we don't all just get what we need straight away. We have to have more grit than that. We have to keep on going, even if we don't see the results straight away. Um, I even feel that way sometimes when I'm making YouTube videos. So sometimes I'll make a YouTube video and I'll put so much effort into the production and stuff like that, and I'll post it, and only a couple of people will see it, and I'll be really disappointed, and then I'll leave it. Or same on TikTok as well. And then, 6 weeks later, when I've completely forgot about it, that's when people will come back and watch a video, and some video that I did ages ago and I forgot about is going viral all of a sudden. So you hear creators talk about that all the time. And if I had stopped making videos, then the chances that people would even come to my page in the first place will have decreased. And that's because I'm not doing it for like an ego boost of having 1 million followers on this platform or that platform. I'm just doing it because I'm trying to share what I know, and I'm trying to create a bunch of resources that may help people. And I'm trying to create what I wish that I had seen years and years ago, not because I'm trying to get 100,000 followers, or make a certain amount of money. So I hope that answers your question about how to be unfazed in taking action. So it's about doing what you're passionate about, but not being overly attached to the outcome, because usually the outcome is not what we want, especially straight away. So I hope that helps. Okay, so going off, I always go off topic on these lives. So who and what do we need to avoid when we are raising our vibration? So we need to avoid people who, so for me, when as I've gone on this spiritual journey, I've realized that I cannot be around people who just have this, I call it group think, who have that fixed mindset and who don't believe that anything can be achieved outside of, the typical go to work, do your 9 to 5, and that's the only way to make money. I remember a couple of years ago when I would say to my friends and the people around me, "Oh, I really want to be an artist, and I've got the spiritual side, and I really want to share it, and I feel like I can make a difference that way." People would look at me as if I was completely crazy, and that put me off from posting on YouTube. And I run my own art business, by the way, and I sell my art as well, separately. And if I had carried on listening to those people with those fixed mindsets that are locked in fear, then this channel wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have you guys. You guys send me so much love. I get emails and all sorts from you guys, and sometimes you guys send me gifts, and I don't even have that many subscribers, and it's really encouraging to get that sort of feedback after I've spent so long holding back my passions because of other people. And that's because most people, they don't do this work. Most people don't pick up a book. They don't search the internet to try and better themselves or watch videos like this. They just do what everyone else is doing, and then they wonder why they're depressed, and why things aren't going the way that they want them to go. And it's very much crabs in a barrel. So I had to get myself away from people who have that negative mindset. And I know it sounds so cheesy, and every person online sort of says the same thing, especially in this spiritual space, but it really is true. So avoid people who are just unhappy in their own lives and who aren't going after what they want to go out after. Because as soon as I changed my environment and I surrounded myself with other artists and other creative people, they have a completely different outlook on life. And that's because the emotion behind what they are doing doesn't come from fear. It comes from joy and these higher emotions where creativity can be expressed. Okay, so those are the type of people that we need to avoid, and we need to be around people who are more positive and consuming content that is more positive and more uplifting. Next, what situations or habits can drain us of our vibration or drain our energy? So for me, it's had to do, I completely changed my life. So there was, no more partying. Some of you might know my story. No more, vaping, gardening, if you catch my drift. All of these things in excess. Everything, if you look it up, is scientific. Everything vibrates at a certain frequency, and illicit substances vibrate at a much lower frequency, and they might give us an initial high, but after a while they bring us down to a point where we are lower than where we started. So it's all of the typical stuff. So all of the things that give us a temporary high and the temporary rush of desire. So it can even be a person or a relationship. They can bring us up to the level of desire, if through um, being physical together. There's stuff I can't say on YouTube and TikTok because I'll get banned, and that brings us up to the level of desire. And most people, the best emotion they will ever feel in their lifetime is desire, and that's why we see people making such reckless decisions that break up families and stuff like that, because most people live in a state of fear, and some person might come along and bring them up to the vibration of desire. I hope this is making sense. But if you are a person who is living in your purpose, and you're taking action and you're doing what you love, and that takes a lot of courage, and those actions put us in a different space where we don't have to take massive risks just to feel a little bit alive. So um, these habits and these reckless things that people do, the root cause of it is usually they are not living a life that they want to live. And that even goes for the celebrities who have loads of money and stuff like that. Behind closed doors, they might not be as happy as they portray themselves to be. We all hear the stories of Hollywood and what they do behind closed doors. So it's not just like a class thing that happens to people who have to work a 9 to 5 job to keep the roof over their heads. It's something that happens to everyone on every level, and it's more of a internal thing, and how we feel about ourselves emotionally rather than what we have materialistically, because sometimes the things that people get materialistically are not moral. Let's leave it there. So I'm gonna quickly stop and take some questions. The substances are quick tools, quick fixes. We don't really need them because they're under the control. Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Dr. Harmony, for all of your input. That's definitely right. So the substances are kind of like cheats, and we can't cheat life. We can't cheat our way into feeling good. Unfortunately, it has to come from hard work. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's kind of in this space as well, and she used a really good word. She called it spiritual chemotherapy. So all of this self-help stuff and going to therapy, and it's not easy. It's not nice at all. It brings up stuff that we've forgotten about, that happened years ago to us, and stuff from childhood like that, and it makes us feel worse. But like something like chemotherapy, or like some sort of extreme treatments, we have to do them to feel worse so that we can get better. So it's like the backwards law almost. So that's why so many people avoid doing the work on themselves, because it's so difficult, and it takes a lot of courage to even read a book, or do the inner work. And the older we get, the harder it is, because we've left it so long. So these are how these this, we can sort of fall into this trap that we can't escape from, and the longer we leave it, the harder it gets. Someone said, yeah, because they're under the control of others who want them to fall. Yeah, exactly. So we all know Hollywood is a very corrupt and demonic place, and that's why so many of these stars that have these lifestyles are deeply unhappy. Okay, so I'm going to have to minimize the chat a minute and go full screen because I can't see. Okay. Okay, so we have got Jung's model of the human psyche that I did that quite a long time ago. It's in my free PDF if you want to download it on my website. I've got all of the images over there. Okay, so moving away from our environment and who and what we need to avoid and get away from, how do we change our self concept, and how can we become a little bit more self aware so that we can change negative patterns within ourselves and so that we can challenge them when they come up. So, this is one of the things that I found extremely difficult. Negative thought patterns and being more self aware. So, for me, I had to practice being in the present moment. So, I wasn't thinking about the past because the past sometimes is not always the best place, and for me it was filled with a lot of fear, and I was a person who made a lot of um, not wise decisions, and now I try to live in the moment and I try to enjoy life as it comes, and I envision the best possible future for myself. And that's how I challenge my negative emotions, and I sort of change the trajectory of my life. So, for example, a year or two ago now, I was going through a lot. It was just one thing after another. And I sat down and I realized, I'm in a job that I don't like. This job is making me miserable. The people in this job and this whole industry are miserable. This is not the life that I envision for myself in the future. So I had to take a massive leap of faith. I left my job that pays really well and gave me a lot of stability and I took a chance and I got another job eventually, but it was not easy. I had to, live off my savings. I had to max out a lot of my credit cards. But in the process of that, I finally had the time to set up my own business, my own website for creating art. And slowly it came, YouTube came a little bit later as well. And challenging our negative thoughts is it's not an easy thing. It's not it's not anything that is guaranteed, but sometimes we all almost need the pressure to fail and the pressure to lose everything, or to actually lose everything and hit rock bottom or get close to that rock bottom to change things into a positive, because it's not until all of the noise falls away that for me that I could really look at myself and I could really evaluate what I was doing and why I felt so negative about myself. So it really was just delusion. So every time every time I thought, I was going to fail, and this is not going to work out, and I'm going to lose so much money, I just changed it into a positive. I thought, okay, so things aren't going right now, but things aren't going well right now, sorry, but who knows what can happen in the future, and tomorrow's another day. And that delusional, happy go lucky attitude that um that I had, it did me well. And people can really feel that. And we get taught that everything is about having a plan, and follow the rules, and all of that stuff. But there is another side of life where people can feel your emotions, and if you're negative all the time, it's okay to be going through a rough patch. But if we are constantly negative all the time, and we're chasing the wrong people, and we're not going after what we really want, then people don't like that. That's icky, and they can feel the the negative emotion coming off of us, and it repels. But if we're able to keep ourselves up even when our outside world doesn't yet match what's going on in our inside world, people feel that, and people will take a chance on you, and people will invest in you. So my challenge to you is, if you're in a pattern of things not going right, and it's starting to really affect your mental health, it is, just try being delusional, even if it's something small, and you're telling a lie to the cab man about what your job is. Who's to say that in a year's time or 6 months time that won't be your job? You never know what's going to happen. So always put that out into the universe. And I know it sounds cheesy, but that's what works for me. So I'm just being honest, guys. How can we reframe challenges into opportunities? Again, this is I kind of answered my own question. It was being delusional. So instead of, oh, this isn't working. So do you know how many I made? Like over 100 videos on YouTube. I could have given up nearly 200 videos, to be fair. And instead, if I get a video or a series that isn't doing well, I don't just give up. Okay, I say, all right, this video isn't working. My audience doesn't really like this. Let me go back and look at what they do like, and let me try and make a video that's a little bit closer to that. Let's just keep on going, and let's just test what works, and eventually something will work. And even the videos that aren't super popular, people still watch them, and people will still comment on them, and it will still touch something in them. And I never give up. So that's how I always reframe opportunities, to the point where the people in my life, they do think I am actually delusional, but they're also the people who are kind of like watching on the sidelines, and they're taking note. And sometimes our failures are important as well, because people are watching them and they're learning from them, and we can be a bit of an example of what to do. So that's how we can always reframe challenges into opportunities. So don't look at something as, it didn't work, so let me give up on this. Just try something else and keep on trying, and eventually something will work, and that will change. It really does change something that goes on in your mind. So if we look at Jung's, I'm going off topic again, but if we look at Jung's model of the human psyche that I've got up there, there's the inner world, the outer world, the persona, and the shadow. And sometimes the shadow and the persona don't align. Okay, and that's when the ego gets hurt, because what is inside your heart isn't reflecting in the outside world. And that's because the way this reality is set up is, the outside world takes a longer time to reflect what's going on in the inside world. So if we're not patient, and we give up, and we let our ego take over, then that sends a negative message to the shadow, and then the shadow becomes miserable, and then eventually your world becomes miserable, and it creates a negative feedback loop. Okay, but if the way to hack reality is, even if the 3D spiritual, the 3D, sorry, the physical world looks absolutely nothing like what is going on in your head, and you've got a talent, and you've got a passion that you want to share with the world. If you can tell the subconscious mind to not give up, and to not keep and to keep on going, then eventually the outside world has to change it. And it's it's backed by science as well. If I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but the outside world has to, at one point or another, reflect the inner world, because the universe has to balance. It has to equal zero all of the time. Um, the problem is that it doesn't happen instantly. It takes months and years. So I've kind of answered my next two questions. So how can we align ourselves with what we want to manifest, and how important is consistency? So I've kind of answered that question. Very important, because the outside world is sort of like a delayed reflection of the inside world. So if we give up before, if we go on this journey, and it doesn't look like other people's journey, maybe you want to be a musician or a cook, or something that's outside of the ordinary. It was going to take a long time for the outside world to shift from you being Mr. or Mrs. person at the desk into being a chef and running your own restaurant, whatever. And once you go on that journey, there's only really two options. It's either you become successful at it, or you give up before you become successful at it. And there's a point in the journey where you realize that I've put so much money into this, and I've put so much time into this, or I've studied so long for this. I know it's going to come, but I just can't give up. So that's how important consistency is. Sorry, I've made it full screen, guys, so I can't see your comments, and on TikTok I can't see it yet as well, but I will go back and look over what you have said. Why do we need to look after our physical bodies? What is going on? Why do we need to look after our physical bodies as well? So for me, it's all about mind, body, and soul. So it's, as much as sometimes I would love to skip the gym and only focus on making videos and painting and stuff like that, eventually, especially because of the job that I've got as well, I need to be sort of physically fit. So eventually I start to burn out. So it's all about having balance. And respecting our bodies enough to be physically fit and to look after it, and not fill it with vapes and whatever else, is sort of the foundation. And if we look after our bodies, it's gonna look after us. And I'm sure you guys know this. I don't want to sort of insult your guys's intelligence, but you know looking after our body and eating fruits and vegetables and appreciating our body, and if we appreciate ourselves and we take care of our appearance, that's another thing that can affect our frequency as well, because what we consume has a certain frequency. So plants and cleaner diets have a much higher frequency than sugar and beige foods that we all love eating. And eventually, it's so weird, but people do feel it if we look after ourselves, and if we eat well and stuff like that. It's not something that is physical, but it's just how people react, and all kinds of goes into each other. So if you want to elevate our manifestation and speed it up so that it doesn't take forever, one of the ways to do it is to look after what we're putting into our body, and look after our body in general. What about our emotional and mental consumption? I've spoke about that in an earlier point as well, but it's really, really important. I want to reiterate that again. So for me, I barely watch TV at all. I barely watch the news. I just feel like it's very negative, especially when you start to make content online. It becomes very obvious that these news agencies just try and do things for attention, not because they're actually trying to inform us or anything like that. But we all know that the news is trash. What I do instead is I do something called mindful scrolling. So I'm always on the internet. I'm always online. I'm not going to pretend that I sit around and read books all day and that I don't, watch trash TV, because I do. But what I do is when I scroll and I'm on social media and something catches my attention, I try to analyze what is good about it. So even if it's a bit clickbaity or whatever, I try to think about, okay, what is it about this video or this TikTok that has got my attention, and how can I sort of take elements from that and put it into my video. I wonder if my audience would like something like that. So that's also about reframing things as well. So a lot of people don't like social media, and they say that it's a waste of time. But social media is my favorite thing to do, and I love social media. I'm like a bit of a nerd. I love algorithms and stuff like that. So if you can even scroll mindfully, and you can take what you do in your free time and in your everyday life, and you can put that into your work, and it all sort of comes together in the end. Okay, so money and vibration and scarcity mindset. So money is a little bit like the body. It doesn't seem like it's directly related to a manifestation and raising your vibration and becoming your best self, but it is. And it's so weird when I look back, and I was technically making more money from my 9 to 5. I There was somehow no money in the bank, even though my salary was higher. Um, and I think that was because I spent a lot of money trying to escape from life, if that makes sense. So I was getting paid a lot, but I was always on holiday. I was always out with friends. I was always partying and basically wasting money. And I did these things because I didn't enjoy my life. I was in uh, a low state, but I was trying to mask it by buying stupid things. Um, then, when I decided to quit my job, that was obviously a big financial risk, and uh, my finances took a big hit from that. But as soon as I got a job, even though it paid less, I made sure to really pay attention to my finances, and I set up a chart, and I monitored how much money was going in, and all of the extra money I made at the end of the month would go to all of my credit cards and all of my other debts that I'd run up by starting this business that I was this venture that I was on, and the little bit of money that I had left and the little bit of money that I made from social media and stuff, I started putting it back into the business. So even though technically I make less than I did 2 or 3 years ago, I've got more money because I'm spending it in the right places. And I don't have this scarcity mindset around money. And I don't believe that the only way to make money is from a 9 to 5 job that I really hated. And back then I did. And I was around other people who believed that as well. And I was miserable. And I had to take make the hard decision to cut a lot of people off, not because I don't like them, not because I don't wish them well, but because they kind of had this scarcity mindset. And the irony was the people that were around me were extremely talented as well. So they were. I had a friend that can sing. She's got like the voice of an angel, and one that's really good at video editing, and one that's really good at makeup and stuff like that. But they all had these dead office jobs that uh, I don't believe that they liked, and I could see myself. Yeah, I was basically one of them as well. So I had to completely go against what everyone else was telling me to do, which is really, it sounds simple and it sounds like common sense as I'm sitting here on the internet with my business that is doing really well. But at the time, it was something that is really difficult to do. And it was something that kept me trapped in a situation that I didn't want to be in for a very long time. So that moves me on to the next point, which is a question that someone asked me a little bit earlier. That was taking inspired action. So it's important to take action on what you want to do and take action consistently, um, even if the odds are against you. So you don't have to be like me and completely blow all your money and quit your job. It can be little things. It can be baby steps. We're all different. We all do different. We all do things differently. So it's how to deal with the inner skeptic. Um, so it's about faith in the self. Um, so I talk a lot about different spiritual beliefs, and we live in a world that externalizes everything. So every religion, I'm not going to name them, but every religion, every religious figure, every emotion sort of gets externalized. We have to constantly see them in characters on the TV and in our different stories that we read, spiritual stories and stuff like that. But those emotions, they're all part of us, and the inner skeptic is the ego. It's the part of our psyche that says, you know, things have to be this way, and there's no room for nuance, and there's no room for chance. And that's what that does, is it takes away the possibility of for the magic to happen. Cheesy as it sounds, but if we think like that, if we listen to our inner skeptic, and if we over rationalize everything, then nothing will ever happen, and it will become sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it is hard at first, because you do think, oh God, what are the chances of anyone sort of connecting to me? I'm just a person in a sea of YouTube and a sea of TikTok, and there are so many different artists out there. Who would want to listen to what I have to say? But I've kind of answered this before. It's about silencing that and making sure that, as much as we have our doubts, and some of them might be valid, if we want to build anything of substance for ourselves and for other people, we have to balance it out with the other side of things. And the other side might sound what people class as delusional or unrealistic and all of this stuff, but it's essential for creativity. And if every creative person thought that their creative ideas were unrealistic, then we would have nothing. We'd have no art, no TV, no books to read, no way to express ourselves. And that's just not how the world works. So if you do feel any doubt of yourself, I'd encourage you to counter that with positivity. Okay, so how to develop a personal code of ethics. This isn't really to do with the mind or the subconscious mind. This is more how we choose to live our lives. So we're pretty much told what to do from when we were born. We're given a couple of years to live, and we go into an institution that tells us what to do when we're like 4 or 5 years old, and we basically stay in that institution until the end of our lives. And along the way, there are other mini institutions that tell us what is right and wrong. And by right and wrong, I don't mean the obvious things. We don't harm other people. We don't disrespect people and judge people and stuff like that. But there are a lot of ethics that get pushed on us that we don't necessarily agree with, but we go along with out of fear. And that's how things like an inner skeptic and scarcity mindset and using illicit substances to cope, that's the root cause of things. It's because we're going against our own intuition. So as creative people, we tend to be a little bit more empathic, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more, easy breezy. And we are like that because that's where creativity exists. Okay. but we get met with a lot of rules that uh, tell us that we must constantly silence that side of ourselves, and we must give, and we must give and give and give to others. And it's not usually in a healthy way where we're giving through creation. We're usually manipulated to give our energy to other people. So it could be in a bad job, it could be in a bad friendship, it could be in a bad relationship. And basically, there are two sides of creation. Okay, so there is the side that is rigid, and there is the side that is more creative. And in the world, we're all given the same advice, and that advice works for people who have a very rigid mindset, who most people, well, there's a big section of society that do not need to be told, love thy neighbor, do not harm uh, other people. These basic rules that sort of encourage a lot of self-sacrifice. I talk about self-sacrifice in a lot of my recent videos. And the problem is that people like us who already do sacrifice our time and who are naturally loving, if we listen to those doctrines, we end up overextending ourselves, and we end up letting go of what we really want, and or letting go of our desires in favor of helping us stand a certain status quo. And it can lead to a lack of boundaries, toxic relationships. And what I hope that people can get from my videos is to see things from a completely different point of view. So I think that's why everyone loves the Gnostic videos and my views on reincarnation. I'm constantly getting messages to do more videos on that. It's because it twists these core stories that we get taught about Genesis and how the world is created, and it flips it on its head, and it encourages us to focus on ourselves and do what we want to do, and not worry so much about what is going on in the outside world, and to not seek external validation, and to sort of turn inwards and to get that validation from ourselves. And that's something that I really struggled with in all throughout my 20s and in the earliest part of my 30s. I was sort of running on someone else's moral code, and that led me into the arms of people who just didn't appreciate who I was, what I had to offer. They didn't believe in my creativity, and this is all because they didn't believe in themselves, and they were sort of projecting that onto me. And if I had sort of stood my ground earlier, and if I had stuck to my guns earlier on, who knows where I could have been now. So it's better late than never, but I do encourage you to listen to your own intuition. Don't listen to me, don't listen to anyone on the internet. We can come to the internet and in books and stuff like that for advice and guidance, but at the end of the day, you are the one who knows deep down what is right for you and what is wrong. So I just encourage you to focus on yourself and to follow your own personal compass. So that is all I've got. That's everything I've got for raising our frequency. Now I'm trying to get back to that so I can see you guys. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. My favorite part of the lives is reading your questions and answering them back and forth. So they want spiritual people who are real and don't lie to them. That's what I've tried every day to teach on my own channel. That's a good point. If you become a doormat, you over rationalize everything. Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. If we over rationalize everything and we go against our own standards, we basically have no boundaries, become a doormat, and other people can use us for their own to manipulate us, basically. And that is a lesson that I learned way too late. Earth is the lowest state of existence. It is hell. You don't want to make hell nicer. You want to escape and not reincarnate over and over again. Enjoy life. Yeah, exactly. So is Earth the lowest state of it? Absolutely can be. And if you watch my older videos, that is definitely the message you get. And hopefully now that you've heard my story, you kind of understand where those messages were coming from. So those messages are important, but I also want you guys to know that life can be enjoyed, and it comes from following our own moral code, if that makes sense. So the earth can be a terrible place, and it is most of the time, but it can be a lot nicer when we are living in accordance to what we are doing. So right now, I'm a lot happier than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, and so on. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, yes, the earth is hell, and I don't want to come back. If I had the choice, I wouldn't come back. But at the moment, because I've built a community for myself, I am feeling a lot better, and hopefully that comes through in my videos, and you guys can go and watch my more recent videos and see where I'm coming from in that aspect. And sometimes I put out a lot of negative videos, and it's kind of tactical. I'm going to be honest with you, and sometimes we need a certain amount of negativity to wake us up. So if someone is sort of in that rock bottom place and they come across my page, I don't want to be this sort of happy-go-lucky new age spiritual person that tells them to just meditate their problems away. I want people to come to my page and feel validated in all of the different ways that they're feeling. So there are some videos that sort of help people when they're in that negative place, and I've been there. And now there are I've made a conscious effort to put videos that can help pull people out of that negative space, because whether we like it or not, whether we view this place as hell on earth or not, we're here, we're stuck here, and we deserve to enjoy our lives just as much as anyone else. So remember, there are also loads of videos on my channel that can help us enjoy life. Hold on, my TikTok is about to die. Yeah, heaven and hell absolutely states of mind. And um, a couple of months ago, I would not admit it. I was like so stubborn um, into believing that this place is a terrible place. But life really is what you make it, and sometimes it's a terrible place because of the people who we are surrounded by, and we don't realize how much of a negative impact they're having until we move away from them. And I moved away from those people. I'm not in a bad place now, by the way. A lot of people send me messages concerned that I'm in some sort of toxic relationship or something like that. That's not the case at all. I'm really good now, but now that I've separated myself from a certain group of people, and people have a certain mindset, I can clearly see where I was going wrong in life. They said, what's the saying? Mine's what is it? Something is 2020. Foresight. Not what's it? What is the? I can't remember the saying. But yeah, basically, when you look back, it's really easy to see the mistakes that we were making, but it's really, really difficult to catch it in the moment. Just going over to TikTok. Thank you, Winnie the Pooh. I'm glad that it makes sense. It's hi everybody. It's usually hard for me to get going in these lives, but once I get a rhythm, I end up really enjoying it. You need all of the chakras to reach the highest. Yeah, exactly. So chakras is just another way of saying raise our vibration. So they're all connected to the emotions, and different cultures and different communities express the same concepts, but just in different ways. So raising our aligning our chakras is exactly the same thing, definitely. Thank you for your content. I love your summary of the Gnostic text. Thank you so much. Do you know what? I am doing more work on the Gnostic texts at the moment, because basically that's all you guys watch and that's all you guys want to see. So I will be definitely doing a lot more videos around that. So I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Someone, any questions over on TikTok? So much questions that you ended up scamming yourself. Thank you for sharing. Can't see. You deserve unconditional love, indeed. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I see all of the comments that you make on my YouTube videos, by the way. So they don't go unnoticed. I get a lot of positive comments, and I appreciate them all. I read them all, and they are what keep me going. Most of the time, many people have a hard time to see themselves the way that they really are. Yeah, a lot of people have trouble with self-acceptance. I won't go off on that tangent. That would be for another live. Most of the time, we don't need to add stuff, but let the BS from the past go. Definitely. So most of the time, we just need someone to hear us. A lot of people are really good at invalidating other people. So as much as I get a lot of love, I get the trolls, and you get the people in real life who aren't very accepting, and who invalidate our feelings and dismiss who we are and the things that we've gone through in life. So we need to be seen and heard, and usually as soon as that happens, we can let go of whatever it is that is holding us back and move on into the life that we deserve. And that was definitely me. But I've had a lot of therapy and stuff like that, and thankfully that is not not my life anymore. Your PDF is a masterpiece. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I'm really glad you like it. Yeah, my PDF is free on my website. Put so much effort into it, and I try and update it as much as possible. But it's completely free if you want. It's pay what you can, and yeah, I'm glad you found it useful. I'm glad you read through it. So anyone who's watching this live, especially if you've watched it up until this point, I definitely encourage you to go and download it. And if you haven't already, and there's more coming. There's more on my Patreon, and people asking me for courses. I'm not a big fan of courses. I like to keep all of information that I put out there as free for you, but I am sort of studying an accredited course, and I'm gonna create a bit of a coaching program so that I can work with you rather than just give you another spiritual course, because I feel like most of the time you can find the answers to courses and stuff just through good research and through reading books. I think it's a lot more helpful if I could work one-on-one with you guys, and I would love to do that. So that's all coming in the future. Hey Duke, thanks for joining. Someone says your content is not appearing on my FYP. Oh, do you know what? I'm kind of rubbish with TikTok, so that's probably why. I try to keep up with it, but YouTube is my main thing, and I find when I focus too much on YouTube, too much on TikTok, my YouTube really suffers. So if you want to see more of me, subscribe to my YouTube. It's in the link in my bio. But I will try my best to post more shorts and put more content out there on TikTok. But I've been focusing on my YouTube videos. So go and watch my latest one. I put a lot of effort into the production quality and stuff like that. So catch me over on YouTube if you don't see me. So you stand out. I also read the Book of Wisdom. Yes, I've read the Book of Wisdom. He's really good. So I recommend him as well. Follow him on TikTok. He's great at decoding the Bible. So he sort of demystifies the Bible and makes it more practical. So yeah, he's really cool. Who else do I love? Morg. Have you watched Morg Fish? He's very controversial. Not a lot of people like him, but he's on YouTube. He's one of my favorites. And there is a man, Mr. David. I'm not going to say his full name because he is very, very controversial. His YouTube channel has been taken down. You know how social media is, and but he is the one that helped me understand the concept of the Matrix and how this reality works in a way that isn't completely like woo-woo and delusional. He makes it really practical, but a lot of his knowledge is censored because it's very controversial. So I hope that go and check him out. I'll leave some of the links to other people who are my favorite in the comments at the end of this live. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. I've been on for over an hour, unless you guys have any other questions for me. I appreciate you guys for watching until the end. I'm going to try and go on live twice a week. So if you have got any subjects that you want me to cover, I will do my best to do so. And I need to get better at going on live and interacting with you guys. So yeah, I will see you soon. I will see you next week. I've got a couple of videos on Gnosticism lined up coming out, so keep an eye out for them. Thank you guys so much for your questions. I hope you found this live useful. Yeah, go to my website if you haven't already, and I will see you all really soon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.